besser.
What is up, everybody? This is Atticus, the Death Metaller, and welcome to another very special segment on the Death Metal Reviews. Now, for this episode, we're going to be doing an album review on Gorgut's recently new EP this year called Pleiades Dust. And with that, let us commence this really awesome, really kick-ass, and really interesting album review. Now, Pleiades Dust was produced by none other than Cullen Marston. But what makes this EP really interesting and really amazing is that it's only down to one song. Now, why is it down to one song, Atticus the Death Miller? Well, basically, I will get to that in a minute, but the song lasts for over a whopping 33-minute long track. Now, it is no stranger that a lot of metal bands have made ridiculously long songs, whether they be rock or metal bands. Between the Bird and Me are masters of doing them themselves. And to be fair, Pleiades Dust isn't the only Special Snowflake single EP out there. I mean, plenty of other bands have done that themselves. Like, for instance, Meshuggah's 2004 release, which was a whopping 21 minutes long. And much more recently, Insomnium's Winter's Gate, which was basically over 40 minutes long. I highly recommend you check out Winter's Gate as well. It is a pretty beautiful and pretty amazing EP that the band has brought out. But let us get down to the interview over the writing process by the Canadian Chuck Schuldiner, Luc Lemay. Now, Luc Lemay, he's a pretty interesting fella. I remember meeting him when I saw the Gorguts with Noisem and the Black Dahlia Murder before they were going with Carcass. And, you know, he's a really nice guy, a really down-to-earth person, but he's a really open-minded person in general. And when he was interviewed for the writing process of Pleiades Dust, he went on to say this: "As always, you gotta come up with riffs that really please you. But then the challenge is to put it all together so it stays interesting for over half an hour. So the challenge was totally in the song structure. And that's where I wanted to put myself into an uncomfortable place. It was the first time that I wrote a piece this long, and the number one rule was that I don't want it to sound like 3 or 4 songs put together. And I think we did it. You can feel movements happening, but you don't feel like each movement is a song by itself. That was important." And he also does talk about the origins and why he wanted to make the song over to why it was about the House of Wisdom, which was an ancient library in Baghdad of war-torn Iraq. And this is what he had to say. You know how sometimes you'll read an interview with a writer and they'll say, "You don't choose your subjects, they choose you." That's really how I feel about this topic. I got this French magazine about Arabic literature. It's called Books. It's like a music magazine with reviews and things, but it's for books. So there was a book in there called House of Wisdom by Jonathan Lyons, who I believe is an American writer. I read the interview of the book and I thought, wow, what is this? So I got the book, but it was not easy to read. I was into the subject, but not the book, so I did more research on the library, and then another book with the same title that apparently came way earlier. It was by another author named Jim Al-Khali, which also made an amazing 3-part documentary for the BBC called Science and Islam, where you can find on YouTube very easily. I will put it down in the description below, just so you know. So I looked on the website of the Strand and the Big Bookshop in New York City. I go there every time I go down to practice with Kevin and Colin. They happen to have a used copy of the book, so I emailed Kevin and asked him to pick it up for me because I was planning to go down for practice for a week or two after. And dude, this book is so fucking amazing. It was like a piece of cake to read. It was more documentary approach. And there was many magnificent things that happened in the House of Wisdom. Basically, this is what he had to say about that. Algebra was invented there, and so many things that we still use today involving astronomy and numbers. So the lyrics of the song start with the fall of Rome around 500 AD, then go to Baghdad in 762 when they found the city, then the Mongol invasion in the 1200s. When the library was destroyed, it's a beautiful story, so I couldn't be happier to share it in the metal world, because metal fans are very curious and they read a lot. It's a story that people should know about, especially in this time because of everything that's going on in the world. Now, it is no stranger that I've made a lot of videos where I've criticized Islam. It's no stranger that I'm not a big fan of Islam, but I will give credit to where it's due under like ancient Middle Eastern cultures like Babylon, Persia, the Assyrians, and I'm not very fond of the Ottoman Empire and all that jazz, but you get the gist of what I'm talking about here. I can give credit to where it's due, where Islamic cultures adopted many of the Greek philosophies and mathematics that was brought to by Rome and Alexander the Great of the likes, but I can give credit to where it's due and on those types of cultures and all that. Overall view over this song, it's pretty long, but it's fast, it's slow, but it is a pretty interesting journey. It feels like you're going through a journey through the history over this library. And as it says, it is detailing, it starts from the fall of the Roman Empire to the invasion of the Mongols, which in recorded history of Iraq was the most brutal occupation of Iraq's history and all that jazz. But if you haven't picked up Pleiades Dust yet, I highly recommend you check it out. It's a pretty interesting piece out there. I love it. It's wonderful. There are times where I feel like, you know, have a listen there and there. It's a pretty interesting concept, and it's a pretty damn, like, long song, but it's really good. 8 out of 10, to say the least. But that's just my views on Pleiades Dust. Pick it up and support Gorguts. Without further ado, ladies and gents, I am Atticus, the Death Metaller. Hope you liked this video. Subscribe to my channel. Links are in the description below. Keep it metal. Have a wonderful day.